Welcome back to Politics Tonight. Before we move on, let me remind you that today being Tuesday, this conversation will only last for 30 minutes. Tonight, I am joined by a lawyer and former member of the All Progressives Congress APC Presidential Campaign Council, Jason Tega Onokpasa, for discussion on hearing of the petition of PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar at the Supreme Court. Barrister, thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. It's been a minute. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Right. So as we can see, this litigation arising from the conduct of the 2023 presidential election is not over yet. How will you describe the way things have gone so far?
Well, what can I say? I think the law has taken its course thus far, and that there are many lessons to be learned, you know, well, probably later I'll come to the issue of certain, what I would describe as untoward tendencies and developments that have been disclosed throughout the process. But if as far as litigations are concerned, I think the law is just it is a myth to say the law is just taking its course.
Over the election is gradually moving away from the conduct of the polls itself to other matters like academic qualification. What do you make of this?
Academic qualifications? Well, I guess I don't know about academic qualifications. Let me just state the law as it is. That is without any commentary on the pending appeal. If it's a question of academic qualification, that is according to the law as it is and as we know it. Well, if you have a school leaving certificate or its equivalent, you are qualified to be the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria according to the law. Now, the person that determines the institution, the body corporate that is empowered to determine whether you are so qualified is actually the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Of course, you can dispute that, you can go to court and dispute that somebody doesn't have such that is the minimum qualification, you know. So if it's a question of somebody having a far higher qualification than that, what can I say? Let the court decide.
All right, so it looks like you didn't get my question. I mean, many would have expected that the dispute over this election should have been about the conduct of the polls itself. Why do you think this dispute is gradually moving away from that to other matters?
Because the people who lost the election are not giving up. And they know that they lost the election. So since they cannot, you know, how do I even put it now? First of all, you lost an election. There is something that President Atiku said a few months back. Incidentally, it's also something I wrote in one of my articles. If you are not prepared to acknowledge losing an election you actually lost, you are not entitled to win an election. You ought not to win an election. You are not a Democrat. You know, so what is happening, what is playing out, is you have people who are, I really don't know, with respect, I really don't know how to describe them. But, and it will be somewhat glorifying them to say they don't know how to lose. I mean, to not know how to lose is probably to even have a psychological problem. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failures. You lose, you move on, you forge ahead, you know. But these are people who clearly lost an election. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar cannot convince me that he does not know that he lost this election. Peter Obi cannot convince me that he does not know in his heart of hearts that he lost the election. Both of them cannot convince me that they do not know that they both cancelled each other out and they couldn't have won the election. They had no hope of winning the election. They might. Now, excuse me, let me explain this. Let me finish answering the question you asked me. They might have had a hope, a chance of winning the election. Not necessarily. It's not automatic. You know, there's this projection that if they had both come together, then automatically they would have defeated Bola Tinubu. It's not so. It's not true. But that was their best hope of winning the election. One person stepping down for another, probably one being the other's running mate. I don't know. That's their headache. But for both of them, Atiku running on his own, Obi running on his own, they could never. There is no intelligent human being in this country that can do the projection, that can crunch the numbers and tell you that either of them could have defeated Bola Tinubu. It's not possible. So when you know you didn't win an election, that you lost it clearly, and then you don't go to court, what are you going to prove? If you want to prove that, oh, Bola Tinubu rigged you here, well, we will prove where 10 places, for each place you can prove, we will prove 10 places where you rigged Bola Tinubu. Because this election was rigged nowhere else more than where Atiku won, where Peter Obi won. Okay? So they know that. Their lawyers know that. These are very intelligent lawyers. These are senior lawyers. These are highly experienced lawyers. These are lawyers who have been litigating, trying election cases for decades. You understand me? So they knew that there was no way to prove that Bola Tinubu rigged the election or that either Atiku or Peter Obi were rigged out, because they were not rigged out. There is no you cannot manufacture evidence for what did not happen. So that is why they are going into all these extraneous issues of, ridiculous, most ridiculous issues of certificate.
So with everything that has happened in the past few weeks, the forth and back, many legal experts are worried that election litigations are now more about technicalities rather than merit of cases. How worried are you about this?
Please, could you come again?
All right. So with everything that has happened in the past few weeks, the forth and back, many legal experts are worried that election litigations are now more about technicalities rather than merit of cases. So I'm asking, how worried are you about this?
I'm not even worried at all, because I trust the judiciary. You see, many things have happened this election cycle, and I don't know how these people reason, but I can assure you that between Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, those two fellows, they seem to have an axe to grind with the Nigerian judiciary. And they seem to have set out, to destroy the judiciary. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know how they reason. That's their business. But I have implicit confidence in the judiciary of our country. So, you see, judges are very, very difficult to gaslight, to run circles around, to make a fool of. Bring all your so-called technicalities. You understand? If you cannot prove that you won an election, nobody is going to give you victory. Nobody is going to give judgment in your favor. You are wasting your time. Okay? If you cannot prove that the winner declared by INEC is not the person that won the election, you are wasting your time. Bring all your technicalities. They will fall like a pack of cards right there in court. All right. So let's talk about. It doesn't really bother me. I trust the judiciary of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I know it will do justice according to law, not according to. I wouldn't even say, you know, some people are even talking about public opinion. I don't know the public opinion they are talking about. You just have a noisy minority of people who keep making noise. I mean, really unruly people who threaten judges, who insult the judiciary, who insult everyone else. Anyway, they have derogatory names for everyone else. They are.
Onokpasa, we'll get to that because, I mean, that's a very important discussion for tonight.